Yuletide season is upon us. We got a whole lot of New York sports to talk about. We're going to talk some baseball, a little basketball, hockey, but you know what we're going to talk about more than anything, and that is the New York Jets and everything that's been going down and where they are going forward. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Wednesday night. It is 10 p.m., and we're live. Well, ho, 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 and welcome to New York Sports WickerMedia. I'm Watch2K99. Thank you, as always, for joining me tonight. It is December 20th. It is, I believe, episode 22 of Wednesday Night Live, and we've got a whole lot of New York sports to talk about. And before we get into that, we're going to say a quick hello to a few of my friends here in the chat. First of all, we've got the great Harlan Abraham. Yep, you acknowledge me as Watch2K. I acknowledge you as Harlan. Good to see you. The great Johnny Jimenez from my state of residence down here in Virginia. Fantastic New York Jets fan. Hope to see you again soon, my friend. Hope you and the family have a great holiday planned. We've got Hank G, and I say hello to you as well. Thanks for stopping by, my friend. Can't wait to see who else makes it down here tonight for the show. Well, we got a few things that we want to talk about tonight. We'll get into some football. But first, I got a few things that are on my mind. Episode 22, 23. It's hard to remember sometimes. But yeah, 23. That's right. Well, let's talk about what's on my mind tonight with a little bit of 3 and out. Okay, so the first thing we're going to talk about, the basketball just went final. The New York Knicks defeating the Brooklyn Nets 121-102. Knicks led by 12 points after one quarter. Never looked black. I'm actually wearing my brand new Knicks hoodie that I got. Super comfortable, I gotta say. This feels pretty dang good. I'm a little bit too ashamed to wear any Jets gear right now. You got to forgive me for it. But Julius Randle, 26 points. Dante DiVincenzo, my fellow Paisan, fantastic. 9 of 15 shooting, 23 points. Emmanuel Quigley with 19 points off the bench. The Nets going through some struggles right now. They're 1-5 in their last 6. Mikal Bridges, 1 of 10 shooting in the first half. I gotta say, I still feel like Knicks Nets would still feel like a rivalry, but without Durant, without Irving, with Ben Simmons basically on the side of a milk carton right now, it's just not the same. It almost feels like the old Knicks Nets days from years and years ago when both teams were just kind of but neither team was really that great. So it's starting to feel like just another game again. By the way, I got to point this out. Speaking of the Knicks, they beat the Lakers a couple of nights ago in LA, 114-109. Jericho Sims, who's now apparently the starting center with Mitchell Robinson out for the next 2 to 3 months, he turns his ankle on the opening tip-off. He has his opportunity finally to start, and on the opening tip-off, the guy sprains his ankle, plays 2 minutes, and now he's out at least a week and a half, probably 2 weeks. So now Isaiah Hartenstein, or Stein, however they say his name, if he's not playing 48 minutes in center, what are we looking at? Julius Randle, Taj Gibson, and I got to mention this too, to the LA Lakers. Congratulations. They win the in-season, regular season tournament, the absolutely useless, no consequence tournament, except $500,000 to a bunch of millionaires like I actually care. I don't know if you all care about that, but I certainly don't. And they raised the banner inside the Crypto.com arena. 18 championship banners, 14 retired jerseys, and they raised the in-season tournament banner right next to the 5 Minneapolis Lakers championships. My goodness. At least the banner was about the size of the Minneapolis banners. It wasn't quite the same size, but man, I'm pretty amazed that the Lakers actually hung that banner up. It it better not be there next year. That's all I'm saying. But we talk about a little bit of hockey. Well, it looks like the Islanders just went final, losing 3-2 to the Capitals in overtime. But they did have a good win the other night against Edmonton, 3-1 with three second period goals. The Devils lose a tough game to the Flyers on Tuesday night, 3-2. I got to tell you, I'm pretty impressed by Philadelphia. John Tortorella doing a good job with a young, scrappy, not a lot of stars on that team. They have points 9 games in a row, and the Devils are only 6-7-2 at home. I'm sure Vervain's going to be stopping by a little bit, but he's waiting until I get past the Devils talk to join the show tonight. But yeah, I got to give credit to the Flyers. Second place in the Metropolitan Division, something that I don't think anybody really saw coming. But a great victory Tuesday by the New York Rangers, 5-2 over the Maple Leafs in Toronto. Toronto had a 9-game point streak. Mika Zibanejad scores twice. Alexei Lafreniere scores for the first time in 12 games. Braden Schneider, the defenseman, has a great offensive zone rush. I don't think Toronto was expecting just like a bull rush, like he was a power forward, like he was Rick Nash from way back when, or Chris Kreider now. Just going straight to the net, lowering his shoulder, going to the net, and knocking the puck through Martin Jones' pads. That was the goal that turned out to be the game winner, made it 3-2. His second goal of the year and his first in 22 games. And also, Rangers, no penalties taken this game. Very, very good. And Igor Shesterkin looking a lot better because the last time these two teams played, he allowed 6 goals on 29 shots. This time he allowed just 2 goals on 33 shots. So a very, very good night for the Rangers, still leading the Metropolitan Division. They host Edmonton and Connor McDavid Thursday night. Well, let's talk a little bit of baseball. We definitely have to talk about this right now. And I'm going to actually go over here to what my friend Johnny is saying. Yamamoto must be a Met. I'll tell you what, the Mets need him, I think, about as much as any team that's in the sweepstakes could use him, because just about all of these other teams have an ace pitcher. The Yankees have Cole, the Dodgers have Tyler Glasnow, and one or two other guys. I mean, the Giants maybe not so much, but really, I feel like the Mets are getting more and more depth. We're going to talk about the trade the Mets made today in a few minutes, and where I think it's a very, very good trade. But the Mets need a difference maker. They've been signing a lot of depth players. And the latest report is they are ready to make a, quote, very serious offer. And the hope is Yamamoto makes a decision before Christmas. He must make a decision by January 4th. That's the deadline for him negotiating. My thought as a Mets fan is this. They have done what they can. They've scouted him. They've met with him at his home in Japan. They've met with him in Connecticut at Steve Cohen's home. David Stearns has been very open, very transparent now that the Mets really like Yamamoto as a pitcher and as a person. Now, what do the years and dollars look like? I wonder what Yamamoto is really looking for. Does he want the long-term security? Does he want every last dollar? Does he want an opt-out? We see a lot of contracts nowadays in baseball. It might be for 9 or 10 years, but there's an opt-out after 4 or 5 years so that they can hit the market again. Maybe he just wants 5 years. And then he has a chance to hit the market again when he turns 30 years old. So let's see what winds up happening. The Dodgers, from all reports, are planning to pay at least $250 million. The Yankees are in. The Red Sox are in. The Giants are in. The Phillies and Blue Jays, they're kind of in. But there are a lot of players, a lot of pitchers, Blake Snell, Jordan Montgomery, and Lucas Giolito, who are just waiting for Yamamoto to make a decision. So what does Yamamoto want? Well, one front office executive said, and this is a quote, this is a guy who's all about winning. He's all about greatness. He wants to be great, and he wants to be a part of something great. Now, with the super team that the Dodgers are building, it scares me that he would actually go there. We know with this ridiculous contract that Shohei Ohtani took, basically deferring 98% of his salary, until his grandchildren are born, it worries me that there'll be this extra money now for Yamamoto. Now, both New York teams, if you're a Yankees fan, this has to worry you a little bit too. Both New York teams coming off very disappointing years. Does that turn him off? I don't know, but I can't wait for that to end. All right, so let's get into this Mets trade that was made today, and then we'll talk a little bit of New York Jets. So the Mets made a trade today to add to their starting pitching, add to their outfield depth. They traded for right-handed pitcher Adrian Doogie Howser. That's right, Neil Patrick Harris is going to be pitching for the Mets, right? And Tyrone Taylor, outfielder from the Milwaukee Brewers, said David Stearns bringing in a couple of pieces from his old team. And in return, New York sends right-handed minor leaguer Coleman Crowe to the Brewers. Now, Crowe was acquired in the Eduardo Escobar trade. He's going to miss the whole season because of Tommy John surgery. And the deal is going to help clear money for Milwaukee. Hauser was projected to make $5.6 million this year, Taylor 1.7. So the Brewers clear some money out, and the Mets fill some roster needs. So who are these two guys? Well, Hauser, he's 29 years old, 8-5. As we say a quick hello to Thomas Fitzpatrick. He always seems to stop by. Always appreciate when he does. He does a lot of live streaming, whether it's football, whether it's hockey. I'm sure he does some other stuff. I'm sure when baseball comes around, he'll be doing that again. Like I've said, he is a Patriots guy, but he is good people. He is good people. So go ahead, check him out. And hey, don't know how finals are going. I don't know if they're over yet, but I hope they're going well for you, man. All the best with that. So they made the trade today for Adrian Hauser and Tyrone Taylor. So Hauser last year went 8-5 with a 4.12 ERA, 1.39 WHIP last year in 23 games, made 21 starts for the Crew. He struck out 96 batters in 111 innings, walked just 34, did allow 13 home runs. Now, the other thing, career 4.0 ERA even. So you're looking at like an okay pitcher with some capability. He can eat innings, and he's got a pretty good two-seam fastball. That two-seamer can really, really move. And so he looks like he might be that back-of-the-rotation pitcher that would make sense, that you can slide in that. I feel like when we talk about a 1, a 2, a 3 pitcher and all of that, the only time that really matters is the playoffs. When you get to the regular season, you're just looking for, live arms, capable arms. And that's pretty much what you're looking at there. So I do like that Hauser is now a Met. I've known him a little bit watching the Brewers. I think it'll be a pretty good addition. He spent 7 years with Milwaukee, and he has, so he will be a free agent after this season. So that is one thing to keep in mind. Now, as far as Tyrone Taylor goes, I didn't know too much about him. He is 29 years old. And over the last 3 years, he's been really a right-handed outfield bat off the bench. Last year, batted .239, not too great. He's not going to give you a high average, but he had 10 home runs, a .713 on-base plus slugging, and his career slugging percentage of .451 is pretty good. Pretty good. He's a free agent after 2027, so you've got 3 years of control. Very good defensive player as well. More of a corner outfielder than, say, being in the middle. But he can play all 3 spots, strong arm, good speed. So I think it's a move that does make some sense here. Don't know a whole lot about Taylor. I hope you don't want him to be a player who has to start, but as a fill-in piece, 3 years, low cost, fine, makes sense. We've got the great Grandizer here. That's right. Good to see you, my friend. Yep. I will root for the home team. Buy some peanuts, beer, and Cracker Jack. Oh, you're throwing in a cold one for me? Well, cheers. I appreciate it. I don't have a beer right now, but we got a little water. Good to see you, my friend. All right. So that's my thoughts on the trade. I think it is going to be a pretty good. I think it's a very worthwhile trade. The Mets trade a kind of a lower level prospect who is not even going to pitch this year for 2 players who can help out right now. And this roster does need some major league help. All right. Well, let's flip over and let's talk a little New York Jets football. The pain is real. We're going to start with the DVOA rankings. Yep, you pretty much know the routine by now. We're going to break down the DVOA. Where do the Jets rank, comparing every single play to a league average based on situation and opponent? Well, not a whole lot changed last week. The offense is still 32nd. They have been the lowest ranked offense in the NFL for the last 3 weeks. Grandizer asking real quick about Rangers talk. Yeah, we did a little bit of Rangers at the very top of the show, early on in the show. Yeah, we did talk some hockey. Yep, we definitely did. Oh, quick hello to Yeti Wilson. Sorry, I'm a Mets fan too. Mets, Jets, and Nets, and Syracuse. I'm guessing basketball and football. Yeah, Yeti. We talked a little Knicks, Nets. I made it brief, and I try to be fair. So I hope the hoodie doesn't offend you too much, my friend. But I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're. Yeah, if I didn't tell you this, I really grew up a Syracuse fan, really a Syracuse basketball fan. Growing up in the 1980s and early 1990s, Big East college basketball was everything. It was fun. I mean, Big Monday, Super Tuesday, those games, Syracuse, Georgetown, Providence, Villanova, Seton Hall. I mean, those games at UConn, those games were, Boston College when they were there, then, some of the other teams later on, like Penn State, West Virginia, when they came along. But those like original 8 to 10 teams, St. John's, if I didn't mention them, though, that was basketball. It was physical, aggressive, passionate basketball. And you just don't see that so much anymore. And, when the kids were staying in school, you really built up that rivalry. You had better teams. You had better quality of play because the players knew one another. At worst, they'd leave after 3 years. Now they're pretty much one and done, and that's why the NCAA tournament can be so hard to predict sometimes because you never really know it's 1 year from the next. That's why a 1 seed is no longer a given to win against the 16. Why a 2 is no longer a given to win against the 15. So, yeah. So, I don't watch a whole lot of college basketball really until the tournaments begin. I've got certain teams I root for. I root for our local teams here in Virginia. Norfolk State usually is quite good. They usually host the local tournament. And I'm an NC State fan really at this point. I went to NC State for a little bit. Plus, I love Jim Valvano. So, my fellow Paisan. So, yeah. So, I don't have Syracuse when they left the Big East to me. Just it was never the same. So that's kind of how I feel right there. Yeah, but the defense did not change at all. Still ranked third behind Cleveland and Baltimore. So that's what's going on there. Special teams went down one spot for whatever reason. And Philadelphia, San Diego, and Denver are the 3 teams ahead of the Jets there. And as far as overall DOA goes, we're looking at 26 in the NFL, down 2 from last week. The teams behind the Jets in order are New England at 27, Atlanta, Washington, Arizona, Carolina, and the Giants. So several teams here. The Jets have played most of these teams this season. So the Jets have had a hard schedule in some ways, but a not so hard schedule in some other ways. So that's what's going on with the DVOA. Harlan, thank you so much for the reminder for everybody to please hit that like button. Also share the channel with a friend. Anybody who's a fan of New York sports or a fan of America, please have them share the channel. And, yep, we'll do our trivia a little later on tonight, as we always do. We've got some Jets-Redskins trivia. And then if we get enough likes, we will spin the wheel. So let's see where we are. I think right now, what are we at? Are we at, let's see, I think we're at 5 or 6 last I saw. I think it's like 5 likes right now. So, yeah, let's get those likes going, and we'll spin the wheel a little bit later on tonight. All right. Okay, so let's talk about a couple of other things. Injuries. The Jets had a walkthrough today. Not going to spend too much time on all this stuff because, I mean, how much more can you really get into these game previews, especially Jets-Washington? But John Franklin Myers, this is interesting. He didn't practice today because of a hip issue. Now, previous weeks, I thought he was not playing as much because of an ankle. But now it appears to be a hip. So you got to figure that JFM is just really, really beat up. I would not be surprised if he was deactivated for this coming week against Washington. Maybe give Will McDonald a little more time. Jalen Holmes, if he could play, have him play a little bit more. But no need to push Myers out there if he's not in good shape. No Aaron Rodgers or Zach Wilson. And we'll get to Aaron Rodgers in a few minutes, believe me. Okay, we'll get into the snap count, something that we track every single week. So starting with the offense. So at quarterback, you had Trevor Siemian, 36 snaps. Zach Wilson with 22. But overall snaps, the Jets went down 10 snaps from 68 down to 58. It's down 10 snaps overall. Breece Hall, only 23 snaps. He did not get a lot of time in this game. Down 19 snaps, played under half of them. Okay, pretty interesting. Israel Abanikanda, pretty much this is because of garbage time. He had 22 snaps, up 17 from the last week. So he got some opportunities to run the ball a little bit. Dalvin Cook, 10 snaps, down 6. And Nick Bawden, 10 snaps, down 12 from the previous week. And as for those who may not be aware just yet, Nick Bawden was indeed released today because the Jets had to open up a roster spot for Aaron Rodgers so he could practice with the team. So Aaron Rodgers could have his little practice time. The Jets cut their fullback. So Nick Bawden is now gone. Maybe they'll bring him back to the practice squad. I don't know. I certainly hope they do. I like him. I've been like basically blowing the trumpet for him, wanting him to get more time because in my mind, when you have a weak offensive line that is struggling, that is constantly in transition, that has had 14 different linemen play over the course of the season, maybe you need an extra blocker in there to help you open up some holes for the run game. And I never thought that Nick Bawden really got the time he needed. So I'm actually going to take we're going to remove the slide for just one moment. So Nick Bawden, I just want to break down the snap counts for you, what he played in the games this year. All right, from start to finish. Game 1, played 8 snaps, 15%. Game 2, he played 2 snaps, 4%. Game 3, 5 snaps, he played 8%. Game 4, 4 snaps, he played 7%. Game 5, 17, finally gets into double digits, played 26% of the snaps in Game 5. Game 6, he played 6 snaps, just 9%. Next week, he did not play. The week after that, week 5, he played 5 snaps for 8%, then 3 snaps, 4%, 5 snaps, 8%, 2 snaps, 4%, 6 snaps, 10%. You notice all the single digits I'm talking here? 9 snaps, 13%. The last 2 weeks were better. 22 snaps, 32%. And this past week against Miami, he played 10 snaps, 17%. So what does all this mean? All right, well, in the 14 games he played 104 snaps. That's an average of 7.5 snaps per game, about 12, maybe about 11 to 12% total is what we're looking at. And I actually found it really, really funny that Rich Cimini, when he put out his tweet about Bawden being released, he mentioned, well, Nick Bawden is one of 5 Jets in the top 10 in the Pro Bowl games voting. Like trying to make it sound like this was some terrible thing that the Jets were doing. Rich, here's the problem. There are only 10 fullbacks on the Pro Bowl ballot. Come on, Rich. Of course Nick Bawden was in the top 10. There's only 10 fullbacks. And he was 8. Come on. And I voted for Nick Bawden for the Pro Bowl. I readily admit it, But there are only two with fewer votes than him, man. Come on. And by the way, I know the Pro Bowl is not a big deal. The Pro Bowl was a travesty to begin with. The only reason we ever give a rip about the Pro Bowl is we want our players to get recognized. We want them to get respected. That's all it's really about. But how is Sauce Gardner not in the top 10 for quarterbacks? I mean, is everybody looking a little bit too closely at the interceptions total? Just saying. The fact that Sauce is not top 10 is an abortion. Please. Yeah. Yeti Wilson. Zach scored 30 points and a half. That really happened. Who's the last Syracuse player to score 30 and a half? I don't know about the college basketball trivia. I'm tempted to say Carmelo, or maybe it was Jerry McNamara. I could see it being McNamara. Could have been him. Yeah, because when McNamara would get hot, he would get really, really hot. So I'll just say it's G-Mac. All right, back to the snap counts. So with the tight end, you got Tyler Conklin, 38 snaps, took the same number. Jeremy Ruckert's time went down 22 snaps, down 11. Kenny Aboa had 9 snaps, down 14 from the previous week. So the Jets not really using tight ends as much as they did before, particularly their second and third tight ends. And wide receiver, Garrett Wilson with 55 snaps. That was down 7. Alan Lazard, 52. He actually went up 3 snaps. Yikes. So there's only 6 offensive snaps when Alan Lazard was not on the field. Oh, boy. Xavier Gibson, 40 snaps of 10. Randall Cobb had 7, down 6. Irv Charles had 2, same as the previous week. Oh, is Adrian Autry who had 30 points now? Okay. I could have been here all night. I would not have thought of the name. All right, cool. And the just wonderful offensive line, Mekhi Becton, Laken Tomlinson, Joe Tippmann, Jason Hanson, the kicker from the Detroit Lions, and Billy Turnstiles played all 58. All right, so one thing that we're going to say here is with the offense. I want to talk about some of the stats here. All right, against Miami. The Jets had 10 drives in that game. 4 of them ended in turnovers. 4 of them ended in minus yardage. The Jets never got to the Miami 30-yard line in this game. Unbelievable. 55 plays, they averaged 1.9 yards per play. That is the worst since the Rams in 2009 for a single game. 14 years, that is the worst yards per play. And there's a lot of reasons behind it, whether it's quarterback play, whether you can say coaching, you can say whatever you want. But to me, this was on the offensive line first and foremost, and the fact that they are on the backups to the backup in certain cases. Okay, so I know that I'm a Joe Douglas defender for the most part. I readily admit it. I have no shame about it. But I do get bothered when people say he has not even tried to address the offensive line, because I see this narrative, on social media. I hear it on the radio, and I pretty much just, want to throw my phone out the window when I hear it, because to me, it's just so ridiculous. Okay, name any general manager, whoever the best general managers are. Eric DeCosta, Howie Roseman, Joe Shane, whoever you want to throw out there. Okay, who has a competent 13th and 14th offensive lineman? You don't. Okay, only 2 Jets have played even 3/4 of the snaps on the offensive line. That's Becton and that's Tomlinson. So please don't tell me that Joe Douglas did not make the offensive line a priority, because we've had general managers here in recent times who literally did not even try to address it. The drafting of Vlad Ducasse, for heaven's sakes, the signing of Kelvin Beachum. But premium picks and premium dollars were never used on this offensive line. It has been injury after injury after injury. So no wonder they're allowing 45 sacks and 225 pressures. No wonder they're getting 3.3 yards per rush since Elijah Vera Tucker got hurt against Denver. Okay, if we look at the snaps this week, Mekhi Becton, look at these numbers. Mekhi Becton, 8 pressures, 3 snacks. Yeah, Mekhi Becton, 3 sacks. That was just during the game, I'm willing to bet. 3 sacks. And I still believe, as frustrated as I am with Becton and as down as I am on him, I'm still sure that his ankle is really, really beat up, and he's trying to fight through an injury because he knows he's playing for a contract, and he wants to be seen as somebody who can actually play, who will not give in to injuries. Okay? Laken Tomlinson, 5 pressures, 1 sack. That's about as good as it was. Joe Tippmann, we love him, but 7 pressures, half a sack. Jason Hanson, 7 pressures, no sacks. Billy Turnstile, 7 pressures, 1 sack. This was embarrassing on every level. That's 34 pressures and 5.5 sacks. They made Bradley Chubb look like Lawrence Taylor, Deacon Jones, Mike Singletary, and Reggie White all rolled into one in that game. It was absolutely pathetic. Zach Wilson never had a chance. Breece Hall never had a chance in that game. Absolutely terrible. Absolutely abysmal what that offensive line did. And that was like one thing that occurred to me. I thought the offensive line played pretty well against Houston. I never expected them to play that anemically against Miami. I just did not see that coming. Grandizer, did those fans expect Joe Douglas to draft all O-line in 2023? That is unreal. They might be expecting him to draft all offensive line in 2024, as a matter of fact. Maybe they would have drafted Broderick Jones if he was there. From what you saw, if you watch one Jets drive, you kind of got the indication that wasn't going to happen. They were looking at guys like Michael Mayer, guys like that. But, if I have one knock on the draft class, and you know that you really can't judge a draft after 1 year. But I will say this. This past year's draft was so much about the pipeline, about developing future players after other players leave in the future. That's why they drafted Will McDonald, Zaire Barnes, Jarek Bernard Converse, all these types of guys, Israel Abanikanda. They were not bringing in players to play immediately, and that's the mistake. I think that was a mistake in the draft philosophy. Joe Tippmann, I think, might be the exception, but initially, I don't know if they were really planning on him playing because remember, they did bring in Connor McGovern for the 1 year, and then when he got hurt, Tippmann had to move over to center. So we got to keep that in mind too. If AVT doesn't get hurt, I mean, who knows if he plays or when he plays? He'd be in by now, but I don't think he would have had the playing time that he's ultimately ended up getting. Okay. So yeah, I think a lot of those players were designed for 2 or 3 years from now, and that's one thing that I want to see very different in this upcoming draft. With that first round pick, I want an offensive player and an offensive player who helps from day freaking one. No pipeline here. It has to be a player, preferably offensive lineman, or if it has to be a wide receiver, if that's what it is. But I prefer an offensive lineman, somebody who steps in immediately and is plug and play. You have one of the greatest quarterbacks ever to play who is going to be back next year, the year after that, and who knows, maybe even farther after that. Build the freaking wall. That is priority 1, 2, and 3. Yeah. Tippmann's going to be just fine. I don't have any worries about Tippmann's development. I feel pretty good about it. Yeah, I like the pick. I think he looks better than John Michael Schmitz. Yeah, I'm very happy with that. All right, we talked about the defense for a little bit. Let's pull the snap counts back up. We'll look at the defense. So this one's pretty interesting. There's some interesting ones in here. So with the defense, 61 snaps, up 5 from last week. Jermaine Johnson, the leading snap getter on the defensive line with 42. Quinn Williams had 40. Both of them had 2 additional snaps. Solomon Thomas went up to 40, the third most snaps. That had to do with the injury to Quentin Jefferson. He came out of the game after playing 11 snaps, and now he's on IR, so his season is over. A very, very good free agent signing. I'd be very happy to see him come back next season. Hopefully that will be something he and the Jets can work out. I hope Jefferson wants to come back. Bryce Huff, 34 snaps, up 4. Jalen Holmes had a lot of time, 24 snaps before departing with an elbow injury. However, he is practicing, so I do feel pretty good about his chances to play this coming week. Michael Clemens, 22 snaps, up 6. Will McDonald got a good amount of time, 18 snaps, up 5. And JFM, just 14 snaps, very, very much hobbled. And we just mentioned Quentin Jefferson as well. So, you have Jefferson going down, Thomas getting promoted. And Jalen Holmes, if he can't play, you wonder if Carl Lawson will finally get activated again. I can't kill the signing of Carl Lawson because he was looking to be a very dominant defensive line. He was owning those practices, and that day he tore his Achilles, and then he had to have the Achilles operated on a second time. It's never been the same for him. And then he had back issues. And those are 2 of the worst places you can get hurt. The back, because everything is based off your back, off your core. And the Achilles, that is all about your explosiveness. It's just unfortunate. It didn't work out, but to me, that doesn't mean it was a bad signing. It was just really crappy circumstances. And that's how I look at Carl Lawson. All right, linebacker, C.J. Mosley played 58 snaps. Quincy Williams went down a little bit with 51. Jamian Sherwood played quite a lot. We've seen a lot of Jamian Sherwood lately. Played 23 snaps, up 8. Sam Aguavoan, 3 snaps. Chaz Surratt, 3 snaps. About the same thing. In the secondary, Sauce Gardner, 56. DJ Reed played 59. Michael Carter went down a little bit with 34 snaps. By the way, definitely vote Michael Carter for the Pro Bowl. He very well deserves it. I'm actually pretty excited. So one thing I found out this week, the all-pro teams are now going to have 2 new positions, fullback and slot corner. So maybe Michael Carter will be named all-pro because they got that special slot corner spot for him. And I can't think of too many people as worthy for that spot as MC2. Fantastic player that he is. Brandon Eccles played 7 snaps. Jerick Menard-Converse played 2, same as the previous week. And then you got the safeties. It was just the 3, Whitehead, Adams, and Davis. Ashton Davis getting a whole lot more time than he did the previous week. And, you know what? The less said about that game, the better. I think we should pretty much move on. Well, let's spend a minute talking about Aaron Rodgers and everything that's going on. So, Aaron Rodgers, I actually feel good about the news that's been coming out in the last 24 hours for a couple of reasons. Number one, I said I was worried that the New York Jets would not have enough sack, would not have the gallones to tell him, Aaron, no, we're done. This team is not going anywhere this season. It is not worth you re injuring yourself just to say that you came back. The best way that you have the last laugh is to come back in 2024 and dominate. That's what he has to do. So I'm very, very glad that that is the case. I'm glad Rodgers acknowledged he is not 100% yet. I give him all the credit in the world for coming back the way that he did and putting the effort in that he did, because I hope that work ethic rubs off on other people. I hope it rubs off on Elijah Vera Tucker as he's rehabbing his Achilles, for instance. I hope it rubs off on Chuck Clark as he's rehabbing his ACL. And I really, really am really hoping that what Rodgers said will put to bed all the talk about people getting fired. Because I pretty much have to go dark on social media. I don't even want to look at Twitter after these Jets losses, because most of it is going to be, this guy needs to be fired, this guy needs to be fired, cut this guy, trade that guy, fire this guy, fire that guy. And to me, it's just frustrating, because I feel like these guys got a raw deal. The whole team got a raw deal with Aaron Rodgers out. So, I was feeling good about Robert Saleh earlier on in the year. I really was. I thought he really rallied the team after Rodgers went down, when a lot of teams would have maybe not shaken that off. But he did. He did enable them. He did empower them. And it did work for a while. But the offense never made the appropriate adjustments. They tried to use Zach Wilson, I believe, in the Aaron Rodgers offense, and it was never, ever going to work. It just couldn't. And I will say this. This game, I think the last game, did reflect very poorly on Robert Saleh. I really do. To me, that team did not come out ready, and I felt they had to get off to a quick start to create some doubt in Miami's head, who was coming off a devastating loss at home to Tennessee. If the Jets could have scored an early touchdown, it might have rocked them a little bit. It could have shaken them a little bit. And then almost immediately, what do we see? Zach fumbling the ball on an absolute jailbreak. The Dolphins recover on the 1 yard line. And then that's the first touchdown of the game. And deep down, it's like, this ain't gonna be our day. You had to know right there it was not going to be the Jets' day, frustrating as it is. So if you had, if the idea was to let Robert Saleh go, I could understand it, just as long as Nathaniel Hackett is not the one who gets promoted. But more than anything, if one change was to be made, for me, it would be relieving Hackett of his play calling duties. I don't think, if they want to keep him around as an offensive assistant, give him some ridiculous title like Aaron Rodgers assistant, or Aaron Rodgers coffee boy, or Aaron Rodgers mushroom retriever, something like that, fine, no problem. Keep him around. Keep him around. That's fine. But you know what? What can Aaron Rodgers do that he can't do with Nathaniel Hackett around? What does Nathaniel Hackett empower Aaron Rodgers to do that he could no longer do if Hackett wasn't in the building or on the sideline? Please. Aaron Rodgers can't succeed without Nathaniel Hackett. Spare me. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying that. But no, I don't want to let the GM go. I don't want to let the head coach. I'm more open to it. But the one thing I will say, he did not ever really get a chance with a legitimately good quarterback. I would like to see him get 1 year, and then fine. If everything doesn't work out, if it's another crappy year like that, then if they want to clean house, then I can't argue it. I can't argue it if that is the case. Harlan Abraham, the Jets play like an undisciplined team. They shoot themselves in the foot with penalties and turnovers. They really did with the penalties this year. Yeah, because they started off as one of the least penalized teams for the first 3 weeks. And then it became a bigger and bigger problem as the year went on. It really, really did. Whether it was false starts, whether it was late hits, whether it's jumping offside on 4th down, Michael Clemens. We saw that several times. And yes, there are a lot of times the referees made just ridiculous, bogus calls against the Jets. I understand that. I understand that. I had a tweet going every single day how long it had been since the Jets offense had a roughing the passer penalty called against them. And it was basically 2 years. It was like 789 days between roughing the passer calls. So, yeah, the turnovers, to me, they're a problem, but I think the Jets have done a better job of taking the ball away this year, too, by the same token. I think the drop passes, especially with guys like Allen Lazard and CJ Uzama, Michael Carter was a problem there. That's been very frustrating. And I think in too many cases, it took Nathaniel Hackett too long to make the adjustments to put another personnel, to give more time to Abanaconda, to give more time to Jeremy Ruckert, to give more time to Xavier Gibson, to all of these different guys. Now, I'm not saying the Jets would be in the playoffs if that had happened. But I am saying we would have seen an offense that would not be the 32nd ranked offense and a historically bad offense when it comes to third down and red zone. By the way, you notice the Jets don't have red zone problems anymore because they never get in the freaking red zone anymore. Yeah, but when you have a collective lack of discipline, that comes back to nothing else but the coaches. And that's been my biggest issue with Saleh. That, two things. That, the lack of discipline, and slow starts. The Jets have one first quarter touchdown all year. They have more first quarter safeties than they do touchdowns. That is inexcusable. Just inexcusable. That they get up to starts that are this slow, that bothers me. And the fact that it is habitual really, really bothers me. Grandizer, you know what? Here's how I feel. Swig of water for the working man and woman. We're not inside the locker room, but I will say this. I didn't think that he would lose the locker room because I felt he really rallied them. But, oh boy. Dom C coming in. Wait a minute. Dom C, just to let you know, no, I don't see anything about Yamamoto being a Dodger. I do not have I don't have that news. I'm checking Twitter right now, but no, I do not see that. No, I think that's a false alarm. I get the alerts from guys like Ken Rosenthal, Jeff Passan, guys like that, whoever else, and John Heyman, and no, I don't see that. So I think we can let that go. Nice, but we appreciate the collective heart attack. But the fact that Allen Lazard, say what you will about Allen Lazard, but he's been around a little bit, said that they were out schemed and out efforted. That is damning. That is damning. Now, is that on Saleh or is that just on Hackett? I definitely think that has a lot to do with it. Maybe it's about more of the coaches. Maybe it's about Keith Carter. Maybe it's about Todd Downing. Maybe it's about all of these guys. And I hate to give up on an offensive line coach after 1 year because Keith Carter's only been here one season, and I don't think it's a very fair shake when you're on your 14th offensive lineman. So, yeah, I don't know. But I'll tell you what, the way, when we're going to get the answer? The way they play on Sunday against the Commanders. And how do they play against the worst defensive team in the NFL? The worst defensive team in the NFL. Worst offense versus worst defense. I'll tell you what, there may be more total punts in that game than there are people in the seats. Wouldn't shock me. So let's see how they come out for this game. And if they come out with another lackadaisical, lack of execution, lack of discipline performance, it's gonna be very hard to swallow. But we know what this team is. The verdict is written on the 2023 Jets. Whether they lose the next three or win the next three, does that really change your mind about what should happen next season? Whether who comes back, who goes? Is there really anything that this team has left to prove? Snapping the streak against New England, does that excite you at this point? I'm pretty much at the point where I don't care. I like to send Belichick out on a loss, but I don't know. I don't know, man. Yeti Wilson, Morstead, Hardy, and MC for best running back 3. Michael Carter for running back 3? Is there a best RB3 slot? Arizona got a gem. Oh, big Michael Carter fan. Yeah, I'm actually going to be in Arizona pretty soon. Yeah, I'm heading there Friday. Yeah, I'm going to be in Phoenix for about 5-6 days. So, yeah, for the videos I will be doing them on location. Not sure what we're going to do about next week because I am actually flying back Wednesday, kind of late Wednesday night. I may be I may do the show Thursday for next week. No, that's the Jets play Thursday night. So yeah, we may just have to skip Wednesday, but I'll put a post up one way or another, and I'll let you know what we wind up doing. So yeah, so we'll figure something out. I'll figure something out for next week. But yeah, I like Michael Carter, but here's the thing, Yeti. Michael Carter is just another guy. Guys like Michael Carter are a dime a dozen. Does a few things well, but what does Michael Carter do really, really, really well? Good locker room guy? I don't know. So to me, you'll be able to find plenty of Michael Carters in the next draft. So I like him, but he wasn't special. And there's enough ordinary running backs in the NFL, pardon me. From Super Bowl contender to drafting top 6, very possibly, although I think the Jets could win 2 of these last 3 games. It is possible. So I do think the Jets will be top 10. If all goes a certain way, I think they could be as high as 3rd. So, yeah. Yep. Happy holidays indeed to everybody stopping in. Yep. And of course, remind everybody, be sure to hit that like button. If we get 15 likes, we will spin the wheel at the end of the show. Last I checked, I think it says 8 likes right now. Okay. We're on our way. All right. Very cool. Let's see what else is going on. Yeah, Dom C, I didn't hear that. The only thing that I did hear is that they were preparing maybe about a $250 million offer. But I don't know if that's necessarily going to be the highest. But we did talk a little Yamamoto earlier, just kind of speculating about what he would want, what he does and doesn't want. And to me, he wants to establish a great legacy. And there's a number of places he could do it. He could win championships in LA, but he's going to be just another face in the crowd there. Guys like Ohtani and Betts and Freeman and all these guys could overshadow him a little bit. So maybe he wants to go to another place like the Mets or like the Giants where he would stand out, where he would be the guy on that team, especially on that pitching staff. So, one thing we really don't know is what Yamamoto craves the most. He wants to be great, but what does greatness look like to Yamamoto? It's so interesting to think about that. Now, the other thing I think this puts to rest is the concept that the Jets would actually go quarterback in the first round. I've seen a few people who desperately wanted the Jets to get a quarterback and want them to completely alienate Aaron Rodgers. Maybe this is out of fear that Rodgers would not come back after, say, next season. Well, I think Rodgers pretty much put that argument to sleep on McAfee's show on Tuesday when he said he still plans to give the Jets 2 years. And this first year, he wasn't able to give the Jets that first year. So basically, this year is going to be considered a wash. That's basically what it is going to look like. But I'm happy about it. I'm all for the Jets drafting a quarterback somewhere in the maybe in the middle rounds. Developing a quarterback that you could develop over the next 2 or 3 years. A guy who has some raw tools, has some college success, maybe at a mid-major school, and they can figure it out. Or maybe the best thing they could do is just wait for Cole Pennington, because if he's a Pennington, he's got to be great. That's not a prediction. That is just a fact of life. Ooh, GBH is a Pistons fan. Ooh, man, oh man, oh man. Ooh, yeah. My thought and prayers are with you on the Detroit Pistons. Wow. Yeah, they'll have some good days again. As long as they get some good drafting, then that's a pretty proud franchise. Yeah, they'll have their time again. I'm pretty sure. And yeah, so here's the thing: the Jets are going to bring back mostly the same defense. You could upgrade at safety. I'd like to get a really good run stopper in the middle of the line. I would like to get one of those. I mean, when the Jets lost Al Woods, that I think is going to be maybe one of the more underappreciated injuries that they suffered. The running game has really, really deteriorated without Al Woods in the middle of the line there. That has hurt. But then you load up with 1 or 2 new wide receivers, 2 or 3 new offensive linemen, and let's go. And let's go to work. I heard people on the radio, and I'm not going to say names, but radio hosts, podcast hosts say this is the lowest the Jets franchise has ever been. Is it? I don't know how long y'all have been Jets fans, okay? I have been a New York Jets fan. Like, my active memory of this team goes back to about 1988. So 35 years or so. To me, the Adam Gase years, the Rich Kotite years, those were worse. If you look at the level of talent then compared to now, it's completely different. Is this? We were watching teams when Jamison Crowder was the leading wide receiver, when Isaiah Crowell was the leading running back, when the leading sack getters were Henry Anderson and Jordan Jenkins. Okay, we have dealt with that as Jets fans. Now, the only way that I could see that is because now it's 13 years since they've made the playoffs. But if you look at what is on this team, there is no reason in my mind if they tweak things the way that they need to be tweaked. Okay, they're all going to have so many moves to make, but they could get $50-60 million in cap space. With a little bit of manipulation. We'll get into that as the weeks go on. But there is no doubt in my mind that this team can't become a legitimate team next year. I don't see why that can't happen. Why can't it happen? Not just because it's the Jets, that'd be the obvious answer. But this team doesn't have a ton of needs, but the needs that they do have need to be addressed, and they need to be addressed very, very seriously. Okay, so last week we did a little feature. We did the 6 steps to the Jets getting the 6th seed. In retrospect, that now looks like a comedy bit. All right, so what we're going to do is go back to Tankathon. Matthias Simon knows it. You better fix that offensive line, and you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. You know what? You've got AVT. Can't count on him, but he's a great player, no doubt about it. Joe Tippmann, you like him. I still think, though, that the Jets will put AVT at right tackle. That is what I'm thinking. I think they want him at right tackle. They believe in him. I think they're okay having to get 1 tackle. They don't want to have to get 2 of them. Okay. Maybe Laken Tomlinson comes back next year. I still think Tomlinson can be serviceable, but you need a really, really good left tackle next to him. He was fine in San Francisco, but he had Trent Williams on his left side, right? And, in the last 2 years, he was hideous last year. And he's been a little bit better this year, but not to the level that we wanted him to play. So that's why the left tackle has to hit so well. So if the Jets do believe that one of these left tackles can be drafted in the top 10, and he's plug and play, whether it's Alt, Shunu, whichever one of these other guys it is, then that's the player that you have to go get. And then you go from there. Then you pretty much have to get a right guard. If you don't trust, if you want to bring Wes Schweitzer back, fine. But, hopefully you can get a right guard, like a free agent, like a good, tough run blocking veteran at right guard. I would really like that because I'd like to have that 1-2 punch on either side that could really, really run block. AVT is a fantastic run blocker. So I like a really, really good run blocking right guard along with Joe Tippmann at center. And then you could really start to open up some holes for Breece Hall, for Izzy Abanikanda, whoever else is there at running back. Okay, so this question comes up quite often. For a numbers guy, how do you explain the winning percentages compared to Gase and Kotite? The winning percentages puts them close. It does. Now, one of the things that I will say, JD, in my mind, he spent 2 or 3 years tearing down the roster and building it back up. The only players that are still on this roster from back then, I think, are CJ Mosley, Quinn Williams, and Thomas Hennessy. Every other player that has come in, Joe Douglas brought in. Okay. So then when you look at the injuries that the offensive line has had both years, that has killed this offense. And, what else can you really say? But the defense has been getting better and better by the year, and eventually they can't carry the load anymore. The offense eventually has to start carrying its share of the weight. And to me, Zach Wilson was never meant to play in this offense. We all know what he was last year. And the offensive line, the struggles of the offensive line, think about it. That's why Mike White got basically demolished. If Mike White hadn't gotten hurt, maybe the Jets actually do make the playoffs. But Matt Milano broke his ribs because they couldn't protect him. It's been the offensive line. You can blame the MetLife Stadium turf for that if you like. If you want to put part of it on that, well, whatever, you could. So, it's just the offense has been that bad, and it's really because the line has been that bad. Just these pieces are not working together. But again, when you're seeing the likes of Billy Turner, Max Mitchell, Jason Hanson, Chris Glazer, one or two other guys what we've probably forgotten about. What can you really do? What can you really do? Because if the offensive line can't protect, it all falls apart. And that's why teams have been able to load the box against Breece Hall. That's why Breece Hall can't even get to the line of scrimmage before he's got two defenders in his face. It's really frustrating. Yeah, Schweitzer had a couple of snaps, and then he got hurt. He got hurt pretty quickly. Yeah, it was going to be him or Tristan Colon, and the Jets let Tristan Colon go once they signed Connor McGovern because Tristan Colon he could play center too. And then when they had McGovern and Tippmann, then Colon sort of became redundant. Let's put it that way. Matthias, I can't deny it. Becton he's been a disappointment this year. Absolutely. But not just the sacks, but the penalties too. Very, very frustrating. I don't deny that he's hurt right now, but I expected more from him in the run game in particular. I thought he'd be a much better run blocker this year than what he's shown. Yeah. So Cam Clark, if you're listening to this, Becton still needs a few more whippings. Becton is Cam Clark's project in player development, and the results have not been what we wanted. No. So as far as next year goes with Becton, if he's willing to come back 1 year, prove a deal, $5-6 million, he could have an opportunity to earn a starting spot. That's it. Nothing else. Nothing else for him. I would not give him multiple years. Cannot do it. Absolutely cannot do it. The great John Nolte, good to see you. Can you imagine what Myles Garrett is going to do to Becton? I would almost put in Dwayne Brown. I would almost put in Dwayne Brown. It's going to be so bad, man. Yeah, it really, really is. Oh, we got 14 likes. Guys, one more like, and we'll spin the wheel a little bit later on tonight in the show. You definitely want to hang around for that if you haven't seen it before. It's a whole load of fun. Yeah, Myles Garrett, JOK, everybody else. Oh my gosh, everybody on that defense. It's going to be unbelievable. What are they going to do to Billy Turner? Oh my God, it's going to be horrifying. Yeah, you're right. Garrett did very well. Becton had a good rookie year, but there were certain guys he had trouble with, and Garrett whips everybody. Garrett's a fantastic player. That's just credit to Garrett. But hopefully the offensive staff actually figures out, you know what? We might want to double Myles Garrett. Maybe we want to put a tight end over there to give him a little bit of help. It might be a good idea. I'm just saying. All right. Well, let's talk a little bit of Tankathon. Wow, it's almost 11 o'clock already. My goodness. All right. Okay, so we will do that. Yeah, you know what? I had five stats about the Washington team, but what the hell? Who cares? I don't think anybody really wants to talk too much yet about Jets and the Commanders. All right, so let's look at the standings and where this is. Now, I admit I'm taking a little bit of liberty with this, and I'll explain why in a moment. But we've got Carolina. Of course, that pick will go to Chicago, still leading the pack at 2-12. New England and Arizona at 3-11. Of course, we've got the strength of schedule right there, the easier strength of schedule. That breaks the tie. And then with the remaining strength of schedule, we've got it listed. The lower the number, for instance, Washington has a 4. They have believe it or not, even with the Jets on their schedule, they have the 4th hardest remaining schedule in the league. Amazing, isn't it? But it is true. It is true. You know what, Nolte? I think Dwayne Brown and Roger Saffold are probably doing the same drills off to the side at this point. Who comes back first, Dwayne Brown or Roger Saffold or Corey Davis? Any one of them. It should be happening real soon. Real soon. I'm sure that'll happen about the same time the Jets get their own stadium. Happening real soon. Maybe at the next time I get a date. I don't know. But anyway. All right. New England and Arizona 3-11. Washington at 4-10. All right. The only 4-10 team. Then you got a couple teams at 5-9. Now you got the Bears at 5-9. They have a very low strength of schedule, 466. Plus they have a very easy strength of schedule the rest of the way, 27. Okay. Now the Jets are tied with them at 5-9, but the strength of schedule is 511. Their remaining strength of schedule is 381. That's 26. Now, I'm going to go to the next slide here, but watch the strength of schedule for the Giants, who are number 7. Now, technically, right now, the Giants are ahead of the Jets. If you go to Tankathon, the Giants are at 6 and the Jets are at 7, okay? But look at the Giants' strength of schedule. It's number 3. They have a brutal schedule between the Eagles twice and the Rams. Okay, so I put the Jets ahead because the strength of schedule is going to work itself out as long as they finish with the same record. Okay, then you've got the Chargers and the Titans, both at 5-9. Schedules are the strength of schedule is currently harder than the Jets, and the remaining strengths of schedule are both harder than the Jets. So those teams, those 3 teams, will not pass the Jets as long as they finish tied with the Jets. Okay. And then we got 3 6-8 teams: Atlanta, Green Bay, and Vegas. Atlanta and Green Bay, pretty easy schedules. Vegas with a pretty tough one. Okay, so that's kind of what we're looking at right now. So with the key team schedules, we look at what's left. We've got the 5-9 teams up here. We know what the Jets have left. They've got Washington. They've got, Washington, at Cleveland, and at New England. So you got Washington. After the Jets, they've got San Francisco and Dallas at home. Wow. And those teams are probably going to have something to play for. So I don't think you'll be seeing CeeDee Lamb and Deebo Samuel getting benched. Okay. Now the Bears, not that bad. Arizona, that's going to be a very interesting game for the tank. All right, Bears, Cardinals. Then you've got Atlanta at home, and you're going to Green Bay. And I don't care what the Bears and Packers are doing. When that's like Rangers, Islanders. When those 2 teams get together, you throw out the record because anything can happen. And then the Giants, I told you, Philadelphia, the Rams, and Philly. The Chargers have Buffalo at home, at Denver, and Kansas City. Yeah, I don't think so. I don't know if San Diego is going to win another game, really, especially with Easton Stick at quarterback. And after the way they lost that game to the Raiders, where is their mindset? Yeah, so don't count on another Chargers win yet the rest of the season. And then with the 6-8 teams, you've got Tennessee. They've got Seattle at home, who hasn't won a game in, I think, a month, at Houston, and home against Jacksonville. So we'll see if C.J. Stroud is back for that one. Atlanta is hosting Indianapolis. They're fighting for a division, but they've got Indianapolis, at Chicago, at New Orleans. Green Bay's got at Carolina. Sounds pretty easy. At Minnesota. Should be interesting. And Chicago. And then the Raiders, tough one. At Kansas City, at Indy, and home against Denver. All right. So that's a little bit of a glimpse of what these remaining schedules look like. I definitely think the Bears are capable of winning another game for sure, and that will be important. But I got to be honest, I don't think the Jets are losing out the rest of the way. I think they will either beat Washington or beat New England. I would not be surprised to see the Jets fall to like 9 or 10 in the overall draft spots here. Okay, so if I had to give you a rooting guide here, I would root for Chargers over the Bills. Anyway, Titans over the Seahawks, Falcons over the Colts. I would go Cardinals over the Bears. And the reason why I'm doing that is because, to me, the Cardinals are not going to win another game after this. At Philadelphia and home against Seattle, I don't see it happening. But I think the Bears, between home against Atlanta and at Green Bay, could win another game. So I'm actually, either way, cool. Somebody's going to win. But I'm going to say I would prefer the Cardinals win, and maybe the Jets can tie them. And then Patriots over the Broncos. Monday night, Raiders over the Chiefs, and the Giants over the Eagles. I don't know how confident you can feel in too many of these games, but that's what we're looking at right now. Yep, GBH, Tim just signed Tim Boyle. Yep, that's when you know that your quarterback situation's in a whole lot of trouble. I don't even know why. Case Keenum, I thought, what's wrong with Case Keenum? I don't think there's anything too wrong with using him. All right, so... All right, I think we're pretty much caught up on the comments right now. Let's take a quick look here at the chat. I think we're at, let's see, are we still at 14 likes? Are we at 15 right now? I think we're at 14. Okay. All right, guys. Yep, 15 likes, and we're at 14 right now. From what I could see, we get to 15, we will spin the wheel. All right, guys, it is that time. It is that time of the week. And it is. Every week, I do a little bit of research. I come up with a trivia question, and I present it to you all. So let's do it right now. Let's enter Jets Trivia. All right, so I think you all know the rules right now. Yep, Yeti Wilson, Tim Boyle's on the he's on the practice squad. I don't think he's on the active roster. So just the practice squad for the Texans. So he's not on the 53-man roster, to my knowledge. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is load up the clock. I'm going to set it for 5 minutes. And a reminder, please try not to look it up, if at all possible. All right, so I try to make every question relevant as much as I can. So tonight we're going to do a little Jets Washington trivia. So here is your question. In 1993, the Jets beat Washington. It was their only win in their first 9 games against Washington. They didn't beat Washington until 93. All right, so your question for it is, who was the only Jet to return a kickoff in that game? The only Jet to have a kickoff return, and it was 1993. 1993. Yes, Adrian Autry. Yes, it was either going to be him or John Wallace. Yep, it was not him. All right, GBH says Santana Moss. Is it Santana Moss? Yeah, Santana wasn't around in 1993. I'm sorry to say. Let's see here. Okay. All right, we got the great Pure Adrenaline Sports. Good to see. Good to see him today. All right, my buddy Post. Jojo Townsell, no. David D, good to see you. Leon Washington, no. 1993, guys. Got to go back a little bit. Brad Smith, yeah, we're in that 2000s range right now. So you have to go back a little bit. Yeti Wilson. No, it was it Blair Thomas? Was it Blair Thomas? That gets a little bit of a little extra buzzer. Yeah, it was not Santana Moss, but hey, you're right church, wrong pew, right? All right. Yeah, this one, admittedly, it's a little bit tough. 1993. Yep, we got our 15 likes. All right, so we will spin the wheel tonight. I think we'll go back to the original. We'll do the 100 Jets players, and we'll create our top 10 list tonight. And let's see how well we do. All right. Okay. So with the trivia, we have, how are we doing on time here? About 3 minutes to go. All right, 1993, the only Jets kickoff return in that game. Who had it? All right. Yep, and like I mentioned before, just for those who weren't here, still haven't decided how we're going to do next week. I'm going to be in Arizona for about 6 days. I'm leaving Friday morning, and I won't be back until Wednesday night. So I'll probably be landing in at the Raleigh Durham Airport about the same time as the show would normally be going on the air. And of course, the Jets have a game Thursday, so figuring out what we'll do. If I could sneak something in Tuesday, even if it's just for a little bit, we'll do something. We will do something. Just haven't decided exactly when, but I'll try to put a post out, try to give some advance notice on that for you guys. Multiland says that little Dave Megan. Good guess, but not quite. Yeah, I think Megan came to the Jets with Parcells about 97, 98. I wasn't Megan on that AFC that team that reached the AFC Championship game. Yep, Multiland. You know it. I'll be Phoenix and North. I will not be around Tucson and those parts. Yeah, I'll be in a pretty good spot. I'll be right near Arizona State University. You know what's right across the street from my hotel? In-N-Out Burger. Very, very dangerous. And believe me, I checked, and sadly, they are not open on Christmas. You know, I'm kind of on a little double animal style. So 2 burgers, 2 slices of cheese, lettuce, tomato, grilled onions, pickle, extra spread, and the mustard. They brushed the mustard right on the hamburger patty. You want to give your burgers a little extra flavor. Brush a little mustard, like old Dijon mustard, on the burger before you put it on the grill or on the cast iron. It gives it a really nice, like that extra chef's kiss right there. So just a little cooking tip for the night. No, not Wesley Walker. No, we got less than a minute on this one. I'm gonna look something up here for you. I'll see if I can maybe help to narrow it down a little bit. Just maybe give you a couple of clues here. Maybe this will help. Okay, he played 6 years in the NFL. From Lowell, Massachusetts. He played, I think, 3 years with the Jets. He was there for a couple of years through the rough years. He also played for Minnesota and he played for Oakland before he left and went on to the Canadian Football League for a couple of years. And I think the Jets did draft him. No, he was not drafted by the Jets. He was a defensive player. Yeah, he was a 9th round pick in 1992. All right, the clock went off. All right. Yeah, defensive player, GVH, defensive player, played defensive back, 9th round pick. Was drafted by the Giants, if that helps. Was drafted by Big Blue. Had, I believe, 3 seasons with the Jets, went on to Minnesota and Oakland. Does that help? We'll give it like 1 more minute. But yeah, that's about every clue. I mean, if I told you he played at Washington State, I don't think that would help. Yeah, put it this way: his Wikipedia page it is not very long. I think yeah, I think there's Jets content creators who probably have longer Wikipedia pages than this guy does. Nulty says Springs. No, it wasn't Springs. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and give you the answer on this one. The correct answer is Anthony Pryor. Not sure if that one was a little bit too obscure, but it was one. Hey, it was just one. It was just one answer, so it was a little bit harder. This one was, but yeah, Anthony Pryor was the Jets' kickoff returner in 1993 for that game against the then Washington Redskins. So, yeah, pure adrenaline sports. Who? Yeah, I figured somebody might know. Yeah, Yeti Wilson and Mo Dean wasn't here to look it up, and unfortunately, Nick Shine's not here tonight either to check it out. All right, guys. Well, let's get away from the trivia. All right. So what I'm gonna do? Yeah, I may have made that one a little bit too challenging, but I figured usually I ask for like 3 or 4 answers. This time I just asked for 1, so I made it more challenging. But okay, it was a little too challenging. I'll call myself out on that. All right. Well, let's move on. Let's relax our minds a little bit. Let's play a little spin the wheel. You guys gave me the 15 likes, and I thank you very much for that. So, what we're gonna do tonight is spin the wheel. We'll do it the 100 random Jets. This is the original one we did 3 weeks ago. So again, for those who haven't seen it before, what we're gonna do is spin the wheel 10 times, and we're gonna create a top 10 list as we go. So if we land on, say, Joe Namath, you probably make him your number 1. If you land on, say, Johnny Land Jones, that might be an 8 or a 9, something like that. So you can use every number only once. And then at the end, we'll go through our list 1 through 10, and we're going to see how well we did. Okay, so, and hopefully we will have a successful list because as a former head coach of the Jets once said,
you play to win the game. You don't play to just play it.
That's right. We're playing to win the game, guys, right? So that's what we're going to do. So let me go ahead and share my screen. All right. We'll click entire screen and we'll hit allow. All right. Now I'm going to max this out. All right. So everybody should be able to see the wheel. And on my phone down here, I'm going to open up the chat. There we go. All right, so I'm just watching to make sure everything looks as it should. Okay, so I guess you all can kind of see me there in the corner. Okay, so hopefully everybody can see the wheel well enough. So we got 100 random Jets on this wheel. So we're going to start to spin it. We're going to spin, get 10 players, and let's see what we do. All right, guys? Here we go. Let's do spin number 1. Here we go. And the first player that we land on is Richard Todd. Oh, this is going to be an interesting one. I feel like Richard Todd is kind of a polarizing Jet. Some Jet fans like him. Some Jets fans really, really down on him. They think about the Mud Bowl. You know, he did have a pretty tough spot following in Joe Namath's footsteps, also being a quarterback from Alabama. You know, had a decent career, but never was that upper echelon quarterback. So, all right, guys, this is where you come in. Put the number that you think that He should be on this top 10 list anywhere from 1 to 10. Where should we rank Richard Todd? I'm kind of glad. I gotta tell you, I'm kind of glad that we got Todd early because, yeah, this is not one I think that you would want when you only have maybe 2 or 3 numbers left. You pretty much have fair game to put Richard Todd wherever you want. We've got Vervain here. Hey, good to see you, man. Good to see you. All right, he's saying 7. John Post, he says a 7 as well. All right, guys. Yeah, let's get a couple of other votes down here. Let's see where we want to put Richard Todd. And the good thing, when you have 100 different names on the wheel, there's a very good chance you're not going to get the same player twice. No, the defensive backs figured Todd out. He would always slap the ball when he chose his wide receiver target. Man, it's like a pit. It's like once the pitcher starts tipping his pitches, man, that's pretty much it. Yep, you got to get that out. If you, that could really hurt. GBH going with a 7 as well. All right, yeah, we've got a pretty much. Yep, Hank. All right, I think we got a pretty much consensus on this. Nulty Land, what's the criteria of this list? Just who is the best Jets player? We're just ranking who was the best player as a Jet. So we're just focusing really on their Jet careers. So on this list, we're going to pick 10 players. And where's Richard Todd going to fit on this list? So kind of what we're seeing so far is a little bit lower on the list, not bottom, but a little bit less than average is where we would rank Richard Todd. So, all right, but I think we've seen enough. Pretty much 7. I think we're good with that. Okay, so we've got Richard Todd in our 7 spot. Let's spin the wheel again. Here it comes. Spin number 2. Round and round it goes, and we're gonna land on the Terminator. John Connor, the fullback, I believe from Kentucky. He was from, I want to say. Yeah, he was one of 3 Jets draft picks, I believe, in that one draft. Was John Connor. All right, so yeah, he was with the Jets for a couple of years. Went on to the Giants for a little bit. Played like 5-6 years in the NFL. All right, so John Connor, where are we going to rank him? We can't rank him at 7, but we can rank him anywhere else. The Terminator. All right, so let's see those numbers come into the chat. Yep, y'all give me your votes, and I just try to take a consensus, and then we'll assign the number and make our decision. Okay, got a little bit of action in this. All right. Yeah, we've got all kinds of Jets. We've got Jets going back all the way to like 1965, like pretty much almost from the beginning. Yeah. So it goes back from yesterday, from 1965 all the way to pretty much to almost to the season. All right, let's see. We've got Hank G saying 6, putting Connor ahead of Richard Todd. Okay. Yeah. So if you think John Connor was a better Jet than Richard Todd, then rank him higher than a 7. If you think Richard Todd was better than John Connor, then Connor would be an 8, a 9, or a 10. GVH says 9 due to position. Okay. Yeah, I think it's one of those things where he had just like all this hype, and then he turned out to be just another fullback, just another guy. Had his good moments, had his bad moments. All right, let's give 1 or 2 more people a chance to throw a number in there. All right. GVH, was no Tommy Bohannon. Tommy Bohannon, the best Tebow the Jets have ever had was Tommy Bohannon. That's right. All right, Vervain says 8, so we're a little bit kind of all over the map, but kind of in the same area. I think I'll give like another 30 seconds or so if anybody else wants to throw a vote on this one. But I'm thinking right now it's going to be about an 8, I think, for John Connor. I think that seems about right. We're kind of like we got a 6 here, an 8 here, a 9 there. I'm thinking about an 8 is about right for John Connor. All right, I think I'm going to go with that. Yeah, let's go. Let's give John Connor the 8th spot. All right, so we're starting a little bit low with our rankings. So Number 7 is Richard Todd. Number 8 is John Connor. Let's spin the wheel. Here it comes. Spin number 3. And it will come to a stop on Aaron Glenn. Now defensive coordinator, I believe, in Detroit, right? Detroit. I think it was in New Orleans. I think he's in Detroit now. I'm pretty sure. All right, Aaron Glenn, very good cornerback, although he was standing by his side of the road on the fake spike pass, but a very, very good cornerback for his time. So, Aaron Glenn, where are we going to rank number 31? Aaron Glenn. Yeah, definitely. I think Aaron Glenn's going to get a little bit of a higher rating than Richard Todd. I can just feel that. All right, so let's see. Let's see those votes come in. All right, we see one. I've got a 5. I've got a 3. Okay. Yeah, Vervain, a big Aaron Glenn fan. Yeah, I can see why. Aaron Glenn was a fine cornerback. Maybe never the best in the league, but always good and reliable. Maybe a little bit like almost like a DeBrickashaw Ferguson. Maybe that kind of a player. Maybe was there for a long time. Pretty reliable. Maybe never quite got the recognition, but you pretty much knew what you were getting when he was on the field. All right. All right, guys. Let's give you a few seconds. Let's get some more votes in. Yeah, I'd like to. I'm really curious to see how. It's fun. We could kind of get a feel for how we feel about certain Jets. Just just kind of how they are in our memories, and yeah. GBH wanted him as a coach, but glad we got Tony O. Yeah, I mean, yeah, Jeff Ulbrich was locked in as defensive coordinator, but I have a feeling Aaron Glenn might have a chance to be a head coach one day, and I hope he does. That would be good. That'd be really good. All right. Well, I think I'm gonna split the difference here. We've got the 3s, we've got the 5s. I'm gonna make Aaron Glenn our number 4, if that's all right with everybody. All right, so number 4 will be Aaron Glenn. So we've got Aaron Glenn at 4, Richard Todd at 7, and John Connor at 8. Here comes spin number 4. Here we go. And it comes to a stop on, oh boy, Vlad Dukas. Mr. Handsome himself. Big Ugly from the University of Massachusetts, Vlad Dukas. I believe that was was that Mike McCagnon's one offensive lineman that he ever drafted, I think? You know what? Here's the amazing thing. Vlad Dukas, as bad a jet as he was, he had a pretty long career in the NFL. You know, he played for a couple teams. I know he was in Buffalo for a while, but it was almost like he just had to get away from the Jets. We're getting some responses for this one. Oh, boy. GBH wants to rank him at 20. Yeah, I can see why. Oh man, Vlad Dukas, he couldn't block he couldn't block. I don't know what he could block a tortoise, crawling through the Sahara in July, going uphill. All right, so Vlad Dukas, I'm pretty sure he's going to be a 9 or a 10. I'm pretty sure he's going to be below John Connor. So I think this is just a matter of, will Big Vlad be the 9 or will he be the 10? Now, keep this in mind. After this, we've got 6 more spins. So, what do you think the chances are we'll get a Jet who is actually worse than Vlad Dukas? Just keep that in mind. That's all I'm saying. Yeti Wilson, is Dino Babers on the list? Sorry, I stepped away at obviously the wrong time. Yeah, he's on the cutting room floor. All right. All right, guys. Let's. Right now. I see one more 10, and there is 9. But yeah, let's see 1 or 2 more votes here. Yeah. Yeah, Hank, not a fan of Big Vlad. No, he is not. I don't think anybody. The fact that they took that guy with a 2nd-round pick. Oh my God, what did they see in him? Oh my God. Oh. All right, we'll give this one a few more seconds. We'll give you about 15 seconds on this one. Then we're going to be on to spin number 5. But right now, I got to say, I think I'm leaning 10 on this one. unless anybody wants to disagree. All right. Vlad Dukas will take the bottom of our countdown tonight. He has spot number 10. All right, here we go. Spin number 5. Let's go. And it is going to land on, okay, Brian Winters. Brian Winters was a Jet for a pretty good amount of time. This is actually the second straight offensive lineman who the Jets drafted that wound up in Buffalo. But Winters, yeah, Brian Stormy Winters was around for quite a few years with the Jets. Definitely never what I would call a great guard, but he could hold his own a little bit. All right, so here's kind of where we are. I think so. We have spots 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, and 9 available. And remember, Richard Todd is 7 and John Connor is 8. So to you all out there, do you believe that Brian Winters should be above Todd and Connor, or does he belong below John Connor and above Vlad Dukas? This will be interesting. I'll be curious. I think I have an idea where Winters is gonna go, but I got a feeling he's gonna go in that 5-6 range between Aaron Glenn and Richard Todd. That's kind of my initial thought. I don't know if he would go down to GVH. Not a big fan of him. Okay, all right. So yeah, he's got him as a 9. Okay, below John Connor. You do realize though, if we do that, if we make him a 9, we've got spots 7, 8, and 9 and 10 filled, and we don't have 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6 done. So I think if we put him at a 9, that's going to be a pretty rough spot because, I feel like Winters is kind of on that same level. But yeah, if you put him below Todd and Connor, I can't say I would blame you for it. Yeah, we're going to need some votes here because we got some tough decisions here. All right, I see another 6. I'm pretty sure it'll be a 6 or it'll be a 9 here. It'll be either one. And I don't think I can't necessarily say I would have a problem with either one of them. I really wouldn't. All right, let's give about 15 more seconds on this. Was Sean Green in Buffalo? I don't remember Sean Green playing in Buffalo. Wow. Maybe I barely remember Sean Green any place else but the Jets. But Sean Green is definitely on the wheel. Yeah. The main thing I was really trying to do, I just wanted to make sure there were Jets that, we have, that we feel something for. Put it this way, Anthony Pryor is not on the wheel. You know what I mean? All right now 6 is ahead of 9. I'm going to give this about 10 more seconds, unless there's any other votes. I think Brian Winters is going to slide into spot number 6. All right. Sorry. So we're going to give Brian Winters the number 6 spot. Okay. So right now at 4, we have Aaron Glenn. Number 6, we have Brian Winters. Number 7, we have Richard Todd. Number 8, we have John Connor. 10, we have Vlad Dukas. So we're halfway there. We gotta hit some home runs here. We gotta land on some good Jets here. All right, here we go. Spin number 6. I think we're gonna land on a good one. I can feel it. We're gonna get a good one, and we get Jeff Cumberland. Oh my goodness. Ooh. He was one of oh boy, the Jets have had some bad tight ends. He was one of the most frustrating ones I think I ever had to watch. He was hurt all the time. I just felt like he had more to give than what he gave. He got his one touchdown now and then, but yeah, I was not a Cumberland guy. Just wasn't. So is he in spot 1, 2, 3, 5, or 9, guys? Jeff Cumberland. So if he's 5, we're putting him between Aaron Glenn and Brian Winters. If we make him a 9, we're putting him in between John Connor and Vlad Dukas. Yeah, I got to be honest. I think I don't have a problem putting him as a 5. GVH, so many men. Can we put him at 9? That's the thing. It's like you can have a big discrepancy between Aaron Glenn and Jeff Cumberland, but and that's fine. Just as long as you kind of got him in order, then I'd say we're doing what we need to do. So I'm pretty sure Cumberland will be 5 or he will be 9. Yeah, This is so cool because I like seeing what you all think of these different players and where they should be ranked on this list. But one thing's for sure, we have not filled in spots 1, 2, or 3 yet, and we got to hit those spots, and we got to hit them hard. All right, 5 or 9. I think it's going to be one of those two for the undrafted tight end from the University of Illinois. Yeah, I believe he finished his career with the Chargers, as I remember. And actually, the last time the Jets won a game in Miami in 2014, Cumberland scored a touchdown in that game. Yeah, so that did happen. All right, let's give this another. Right now, I think 5 has the slight edge. We'll give this like another 10 seconds. See if any other votes come in. And where are we going to put Mr. Cumberland? All right now the majority rules, and it's going to be a 5. So Jeff Cumberland gets our 5 spot. So we have spots 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 10 filled. All we have left are 1, 2, 3, and 9. So we need some good spins coming up. You bet D Milliner is on the wheel, GBH. He sure is. There are some good I think it's Richard Todd again. Okay, we get to respin that one. All right, there we go. Maybe I should have like a free spin where we can just fill in any player we want in a certain spot. I got to come with some gimmicks. Bart Scott can't wait himself. Well, I don't know if I will say this. Bart Scott came in and helped establish a culture along with Rex Ryan. As far as the player goes, I thought he was like an okay linebacker. But let's be honest, what's his legacy as a Jet? It's those 2 words. Can't wait. That's what Bart Scott is all about. So 1, 2, 3, or 9. Where are we going to put Bart Scott? Wow. A lot of people want to put him in the number 2 spot. Okay. I always thought Bart Scott. Okay. I feel like maybe Scott was a little bit like C.J. Mosley. There's a little bit of a comparison. Y'all seem like Mosley is like the new Scott. So like the leadership, the tackling, maybe not making all the impact plays in the world, but good, solid, reliable tackler, solid guy. I see a little bit of Mosley in him. A little bit. All right. Right now the chat is definitely leaning towards the number 2 spot on this list would be number 57. Okay. GBH, the way the wheel is going, he's got to be a 2. Okay. All right, give it a few more seconds. Let's see who else wants to vote. Yeti Wilson, I'm picking it up too. All right, that's enough for me. 4 votes in a row for spot number 2. So Bart Scott will be number 2. All right, we got 3 spots left. 1, 3, and 9. All right, so we got a little bit of variety. I think right now we're doing pretty well. Right now, I'd say we got a win going right here. Let's see if we can finish it off well. All right, we spin the wheel. Spin number 8, and it's going to land on Mo Lewis, number 57. Also number 57, right? Yeah, one of the best linebackers in Jets history. Oh, no question about it. We all know Green Bean, one of his favorite Jets of all time. And hopefully we'll be in the Ring of Honor one day. Fantastic tackler with the Jets for so many years. Yep, this one's pretty much unanimous. We've got him ranked as the number 1 Jet on this list. I like it. I'm cool with it. I would rank him above Bart Scott. So, yep, we're going to make him number 1. That's about as easy as we've had it all night. Okay, so here's what we got left, guys. We got number 3. We got number 9. So for 3, we need a Jet in between Bart Scott and Aaron Glenn. And number 9, we need somebody between John Connor and Big Ugly, Vlad Dukas. Okay? All right, here we go. Spin number 9. Here we go. Can you feel it? Can you feel the tension? And we're going to land on Brian Thomas. This is another one of those really polarizing Jets. Was a Jet for a long time, was a pretty good player, got better as the years went on. Still hurt, not his fault, but the Jets did draft him ahead of Ed Reed. Yeti Wilson, is Mangold there? Oh, yeah, Nick Mangold's on the wheel. Yeah, I wouldn't make this wheel without Nick Mangold, I guarantee it. Brian Thomas at Yeah, at 3. I think you got to rate him up. Yeah, if he's going to be in one of these spots, you pretty much got to make him number 3. Yeah, I don't know if I would rank Bart Scott as a better Jet than Brian Thomas. I personally wouldn't, but you can make the argument. I think you can make if you wanted to, you could. I mean, do y'all think that Bart Scott would be would be 2 and Brian Thomas would be 3? I'm just curious what everybody thinks on that. Yeah, Brian Thomas will definitely be our number 3 though. Yeah. Man, if it had gone like one more spot either way, we would have had like Gastineau or Riggins. There's some good ones on that list. All right. Okay, Brian Thomas will be number 3. Yeah, I think right now, yeah, if this was the list we had, I'm just gonna read it in order where it is right now. Oh, right now. Whoa, hello. From 1 to 10. Mo Lewis, Bart Scott, Brian Thomas, Aaron Glenn, Jeff Cumberland, Brian Winters, Richard Todd, John Connor, Blank, and Vlad Dukas. By the way, if anybody knows like how I can like put the list, like actually put it like up on the screen, like one of these days, it'd be a lot better if I could do that. If anyone knows how I could do that, maybe like shoot me an email. My email's in the description of the channel. Shoot me an email on how I could do that because I think that would help enhance this a little bit more. All right. I think we have what we have, and we will go with our final spin, and we want spin number 9. We want a pretty bad Jet here, pretty much on the level of Vlad Dukas. All right, here we go. And we land on, oh boy, Marty Lyons. Yeah, yep. That one hurts. Yep. Yeah, you can make the argument Marty Lyons would be the number 1 Jet on this list. If not 1, definitely number 2. No question about it. All right. Well, hey, we had a very, very good run. I was ready if we had a bad enough if we had a bad enough Jet to give this a win, but you know what? I've got to be objective. I've got to be fair. Marty Lyons is our number 9. I have to call it. Loss, guys. That's a loss. We came as close as we have, and maybe next time we'll knock it out of the park, and we will put together a 1 through 10 list that you could go with. But yep, not it was not meant to be tonight. All right, guys, we're gonna wind it down. I got to be up super early, about 5:30 in the morning, to check in for 24 hours in advance for a plane. So I will be putting the videos out kind of like intermittently. Probably Friday's gonna be more of a travel day for me. So Thursday and Friday will be travel days, really. But I do plan on putting some stuff up. Probably Friday night is when I'll try to get my game preview up, my game predictions up, and all the stuff that I put out every week. But everybody, I want to thank you all for coming in tonight. Again, please share with a friend, subscribe if you haven't already. All those things mean a whole lot to help out the channel. But you might be looking out. There might be some more collaborations coming up. Maybe some guest appearances on other channels. I might have some people coming over. You might see a little bit more of it coming up. So you do want to be on the lookout. Can't give the details away, but I can say that there is some stuff in the works. I can tell you that. All right, everybody. So thank you again. Everybody have a great night. Have a great holiday season. Merry Christmas to all of us who celebrate. And we'll see you right back here with more content from you know where. The Wicker Chair. Have a great night, everybody.